Hey guys, it's Cody, and this week I'm doing a video on, drumroll please, coming out, yay, woo! Now this isn't actually my coming out video. I came out a while ago. Actually, my junior year of high school is when I came out. So I've been out for a while, but I'm making this video to tell my story of coming out, and hopefully that will be able to help other people going through a similar situation, if they are. My coming out experience wasn't all pretty wrapped up in a bow like you hear how your parents are totally fine with it and everybody's okay with it and everybody gets along and sings songs and hold hands. No. When I was probably a freshman in high school, I think. Yeah, that sounds about right. My mom had caught me texting boys, and she had taken my phone and read them, so she knew that it wasn't just hey dude, what's up, let's hang out. No, it was other things besides that. So that's kind of what started all of it, and I had gotten my phone taken away for a month, and then she had asked where I met these guys, because none of them were from here, my town where I was living when I went to high school. They were all from other states and stuff, because I had met them online, not in person. So she asked me where I had met them, and I told her Facebook, which was a lie. I met them on some other site. It was kind of like MySpace, but it wasn't MySpace. I don't remember what it was called. It was forever ago. So I told her they were on Facebook. So she wanted my Facebook password, and she was checking it all the time. So I never really got on it for that month either. Just, I didn't want her to be suspicious. And when she had asked me about it, when she took my phone, I just told her the same story, oh, I'm confused, I don't know, I'm just confused about it, and she bought it, at least I think she did, who knows. So after I had got that all taken away from me, I got it back eventually, and I did obey what she said, and I didn't text guys anymore. After about probably 3 months, I had slowly started to text them again. And before this happened, she had threatened me that every Friday she was going to check the phone bill and to see if I was texting anyone out of area code. And she couldn't see the messages, but she could see the numbers I was texting. And so she could tell if I was texting those guys that I had been talking to before. So I didn't talk to them anymore, but then after about 3 months, I was hey, if I text people that are in my same area code, she's not going to know that they're guys. So that obviously fixed that issue. And she really did check the phone bill every week for probably about 3 or 4 months. And then slowly I could tell that she wasn't doing it anymore. I don't know, I just could tell that she wasn't checking it like she said she was. So I contacted those guys again, because they were my friends. I remember 2 of them. One of them, his music is actually going to be featured in this video as background music, because he's really into making music and stuff like that. So I told him I would feature his music on my new channel, and then it'd work for both of us. His name is Braz, but he was one of my friends that I had been texting, and so I slowly started to text them again, just to tell them what had happened. And everything was good for probably I want to say a long time, a year or 2. Because if that was my freshman year, I came out my junior year, yeah, probably a year or 2, I was golden, nothing bad would happen. She didn't catch anything, so I was good to go. So fast forward about 2 years, and now it's my junior year, and this whole time I had been texting people that were from here and texting my friends that I had made before, and I don't want it to make it sound like I've been I'm texting 15 guys at one time. It's not what I was doing. So one night I go into my parents' room to plug my phone in and go to bed, and my mom is in her bathroom getting ready, and I can hear her, and she comes out and she looks at me and she's have you been behaving? And that's what she called it when I wasn't texting boys. So there's that. So she said, have you been behaving? And I lied and said yes. And she said, so if I go on that computer, I'm not going to see anything I don't want to see. And I told her no, which was a lie as well. And so I plugged my phone in and I went to bed. And then I was laying in there for probably like 10 minutes ish. And then she comes in with the laptop, so like she had actually gone and done it. I didn't think she was gonna do that. She'd gone and done it and looked like had it out, and she like turned it towards me while I was laying in bed, and she's like, "See, this is what I'm talking about." And by that time, I was just fed up with like keeping it a secret. I'd been keeping it a secret since my freshman year. Looking back now, I knew even before then. I knew when I was in middle elementary school. I didn't know that's what that was, but I knew then. So I was just fed up from keeping it from them. And so I rolled over in bed and I was like, "Mom, I am." And she's like, "You are what?" And I told her, and I was like, "Mom, I'm gay." And she's like, "Well, you need to get up and you need to come talk to me and your dad right now." And I told her, I was like, "No, I don't want to." I don't want to do that. My parents are like, they're not super religious, but we come from a small town in like the country. My dad does rodeos. Like my whole dad's side of the family's cowboys. Part of my mom's side of the family's cowboys. I never got into the cowboy thing. So we're all like, they're pretty like traditional, you would say. So I told her, I was like, "No, I don't want to. Like, I don't want to do that." And she made me, so I like had to get up and I went out there, and that's when she like told my dad. My dad had no idea that any of this was going on, so that was fun. And they started like questioning me, like, how do you know, why is this, like, why are you like this? And I had just like, I started crying, and I cried the whole time, and I think I talked to them for probably like 2-3 hours, and I was just crying the entire time because in the past, whenever my parents would see anything dealing with same-sex couples, they would like either say, "Oh my gosh, like how can they put this on TV, like that's disgusting," or "Why would I want to watch this," like stuff like that. And little do they know, I'm sitting right there in the living room like, "Gee, thanks, Mom, Dad." And so like all this leading up, that is why I hadn't told them so far, because I was afraid they were gonna like kick me out, not accept me, like all this like crazy stuff. And so they had started questioning me, and that's why I started crying, and I just had cried the whole time. And I remember like specifically my mom was like, "Well, how do you even know, like, have you even like done anything with a girl like that before? Like, how do you know that you like boys in that way?" And like at the time I wasn't a virgin, so sorry, Mom. So I did know. But it wasn't from a girl, so yes, I did know that's what I liked. And she didn't know that, but I wasn't going to tell her that same night, because I don't even know what would have happened then. So I just told her, I was like, I can't explain it, like I just know. I mean, you know, when you get a hard on when you see a guy without a shirt on, you probably like guys, sorry, but it's true. And then I remember my dad, he was like, "Well, this is just a phase, like you don't know what you want, we'll get you some help." And I like turned around and looked at him, like tears going into my face, and I told him, I was like, "No, this isn't a disease. I'm not going to go to a therapist or a doctor to get this fixed. That's not happening, so sorry." I remember my mom telling me, because I was going off to college soon, she was like, "If you go off to college, you can live your life how you want, but as long as you're under our roof, this is not going to be how you are. And when you do go off to college, if you're with somebody that's like that, just know they aren't going to be welcome here when you come home." And at the time, I didn't like fully understand that, but that's a pretty harsh statement. Like, if they're not welcome, why would I be welcome, you know? But I was like so emotional at the time, crying and having to tell this to my parents, so I wasn't really listening to what she was saying. And like I remember they tried to pull the Bible card on me, which we've gone to church maybe 2 times my entire life, so don't try to pull the Bible card when we're not religious. Like, that's not fair at all. And then I remember the next morning I woke up, got breakfast, and we kind of just pretended like nothing happened. It was just another day. We just ignored it. We kind of ignored each other, my parents and I. Like, we didn't really talk at all. And I went to school. That was a pretty crappy day at school. Not gonna lie. I didn't tell my friends any either, because I didn't want to overwhelm myself, you know, and I didn't think I was ready for that. Didn't want them to react the same way that my parents did, so didn't tell anybody else. And then it continued like that for probably about like 2 weeks. Like, we didn't really acknowledge each other that much. We were just like the bare minimum. Hey, like, how are you? How's school? You know, that kind of stuff. Just because there was like that awkward tension that we both knew was there. And eventually it got back to normal. They just had ignored the fact that I told them that. They just pretended that that didn't happen and that their son wasn't gay, which was fine as long as they didn't like kick me out, you know. I do remember coming home from school one day, and I got in my room and I looked at my bed, and my dad had left a Playboy magazine on my bed, and I was just completely blown away by that. Like, do you really expect this to change anything looking at this magazine? No, it's not going to. So sorry, Dad. Like, I took it and I threw it in the dumpster that same day. So that I was like, wow, I can't believe that happened. And then I remember another time I came home from school and my mom had left this packet, like probably this thick, about HIV and AIDS on my bed. And I was just, again, completely blown away from that. Like, I'm aware of the risk, obviously, but you also know that straight people can get that too. Yes, it is less of a risk than from gay people, but you could get that as well. Like, don't think that that's gonna scare me into being straight. Like, that's not how it works. And I just, like, those two things, I still to this day can't believe they did that. I just think that's pretty low, honestly. So fast forward another year, so now it's going to be my senior year, and I'm about to leave to go to college at UNR. And I decided that I was going to write my parents a letter and leave it on my bed when I moved out to the dorms, and for them to find when they got home from moving me out. I was super scared to do this too, like, unbelievably scared. But I had typed up a letter before, and I wrote, like, Dear Mom and Dad, I hope that you can accept me for who I am. I know it's really hard for you, but it's not fair to me for you to do this. I can't change this. This is how I am born. It's not a choice. I told them that if someone like me wasn't welcome during the holidays, then why would I feel welcome in my own house? And if they kept this attitude, that they wouldn't be seeing me during the holidays, and I would not come home. I would stay in Reno. Yes, it's only an hour away, but I wouldn't come back for Christmas if they were going to keep up like this, because I'm not going to feel welcome in my own house when they told me that, you know? And it was probably, I think it was like a page and a half of just how they needed to change their ways or they were going to lose me as their son, because I wasn't going to be scared to live life like I thought I should and how I was supposed to be. I wasn't going to be afraid of what their opinions were compared to what everybody else thought, because I knew everybody else was going to be okay with it. And so I wrote them that letter and I put it on my bed. I had also wrote, I didn't write them, but I also had printed out the lyrics to Same Love by Macklemore, and I like went through with a highlighter and I highlighted like the chorus, like the I can't change part, and I put that on the bed too, so they could really let that sink in. And like I highlighted the Bible part, how we're quoting a book that's however many years old, you know, because it is, in all honesty, the truth. Like, things have changed and people need to accept that. And I left it on my pillows on my bed when I left, and then the whole day moving into my dorm, I was like super stressed out for them to leave and then find it. I think I waited, it's probably a few hours because I don't think my mom went in my room right away. But I waited for a while, and then I got a text from my mom, and she said, I found your letter. I want you to know that we still love you the way you are. We accept you for how you are, and all this stuff about how she loved me still, that I was still her son, but she wasn't going to tell my dad because my dad didn't fully understand, which I was kind of mad about, because like I wrote that for both of them. They both needed to hear it, and they both needed to understand where I was coming from and how serious I was about this. But I couldn't help that, so at least she found it and knew what was going to happen if things didn't change. But yeah, just like after a while, she like slowly started to accept it a little bit more each time, or each day, I guess. My dad, on the other hand, I still to this day think he's just like oblivious to the fact, pretends that that never happened. His son is straight, he's gonna marry a woman, have kids, all this stuff, which that is not the case. Sorry, Dad. But my mom slowly has started to come around to the fact a little bit more. I remember we were in the car one time and she'd asked if I was seeing anyone, and I like, again, taken aback, like, and I told her no, but just like, it was kind of nice, like that she was genuinely interested in my love life and how I was doing, because she never would have asked that unless it was with a girl before. I think if your parents are like that, you just have to give each other time and the space for both of you, and you have to understand how they were raised, how you were raised, and how they're different. And I think with time, they become more accepting than what they were initially, if your parents are like mine and traditional in their values and things like that. And I know this sounds super cheesy, but it really does get better. When you go to college, like I said, people in our generation don't care. Way more accepting, and it's very relieving to be able to live as yourself and not have to hide part of yourself. It does eventually get better, and I hope this video can to maybe somehow help somebody who might be thinking about coming out. Also, a piece of advice: don't come out until you are ready. Doesn't matter what anybody else tells you. If you're not ready, don't do it. But yeah, thanks guys for watching the video. Give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! And I liked it. Whoops.